Welcome back to When Bad Things Happen to Good People, a podcast about censorship in the arts. My name's Todd Sullivan. With me is Oren Barter, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Dave Coalmine. We'll be talking about the Japanese film from the year 2000, Battle Royale. So normally, when we start this podcast, one of the first things I do is I ask Oren how he's doing, how things are going for him in his life. But I'm not going to do that.
Nobody gives a fuck anyway.
We don't care what's going on with you this week, Oren. Because we have a guest, and as a good host, I'm going to direct that question to our guest. Dave, how are you doing?
Oh, really? I'm going to redirect that to the group and just say, group, what are we drinking today? Because that's one of the exciting things. I'm a longtime listener of this podcast, and I like hearing about what you guys are drinking. So I'm going to throw it right back at, first,
all right.
I'll throw in what I'm drinking. I'm drinking the Okanagan Springs Winterland Orange Cranberry Ale. And
holy cow, that sounds good.
That's a lot of shit packed into one beer.
That's a lot. They're like, we can't just have orange, not just cran. We got to double up. It's what the kids like. It's 4.8%, and I opened it and got very Canadian for a second. Was like, hey, that's pretty fucking good, eh, or something like that. So that was,
that does sound pretty tasty.
Yeah, I had some sort of broken English, very Canadian phrase that spewed out of my mouth after I sipped it. So it's decent. I'm digging it.
For me, I'm clinging to my sour beers as long as I can. I know they're more of a summer thing, but they're still available, so I'm clinging to them. And I got the Dead Frog. They've got a sample pack of 4 different sours that I quite like, and so I'm drinking one of those right now. It's the Strawberry Mint Sour.
That sounds yummy.
It's pretty good. It's not my favorite of the lot, but it's the first one that came out, so...
But yeah, man, Rage Against the Dying of the Light. Like, we don't have to say it's fall. Let's just keep drinking our summer beers.
No, exactly.
It's been warm enough.
You barely go outside anymore anyway. It can be whatever season you want it to be. What about you, Warren? Do you have any drinks tonight?
Yeah, I got my classic O'Doul's. But nice. I'm also chugging the tail end of an El Jimador Silver Tequila.
Ooh.
Oh, tequila. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought I'd wet my whistle here for this one a little bit.
Gotcha.
Nice.
You're doing shots.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do a shot right now. I'm gonna cheers you right now. Cheers, y'all.
Okay.
Cheers.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Oh. Okay. Yep. That's tequila.
It's a good thing you weren't doing shots every time someone died in the movie.
I think I'd have alcohol poisoning.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would have been. I think I wrote it down. Maybe I didn't. 42 shots in 2 hours.
42.
Yeah.
42. Well, I guess, no, not to give it away, but not all 42 died.
Oh, truth.
So,
truth.
Yeah. Let's not say how many shots that would be then, because that'll give away the ending.
Well, are we going to maybe talk about that? Like, hey, there's going to be some spoilers, aren't there? Like,
oh, absolutely. I just don't want to. I don't want to talk about the ending at the beginning of the podcast necessarily.
Oh, okay. It's all about chronology.
Yeah, total spoilers. We're gonna spoil everything.
Well, I appreciate your professional approach to this.
Couple of things to talk about. The first thing is I wanted to sort of mention why Dave is on the podcast. It's partly because I've recently been working with him on a new podcast. Do you want to maybe talk about it for a little bit there, Dave, and fill us in on what it's all about?
Well, thank you. Yeah, Todd and I have been running a podcast called Mysteries and Madness. It's hard to explain, kind of. I'm not entirely certain yet what the pitch should be, but it's a 1940s detective whodunit that's based around a role-playing system called Cthulhu Confidential. So Todd is the protagonist. He's the detective trying to solve supernatural mysteries, and then I'm the game master and run him through these scenarios and describe them and portray all of the characters that he runs into. And then I'm on the back end of it, on the production side, putting the kind of time you'd put into it to create an old-fashioned radio drama. So lots of sound effects, a lot of soundtrack and Foley to try to really immerse the listener in these places as we sort of improv our way through mystery cases.
Yeah, so it very much, the experience of listening to it is a lot like listening to like an old radio drama, but it's not scripted. The story is essentially created live as we play through the game, play through the role-playing aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Have you guys released any episodes yet?
There's 2 out, I think.
Oh, is there?
out.
Shit. I'm going to have to listen to that.
Yeah, finale's recorded, and I'm 15 hours into editing at about 30 minutes of the podcast done, and it's about a 60-minute episode. So it's going to be about 30 hours of editing to get this 1-hour episode done, which speaks to the volume of sound engineering that I'm doing, and I really love it. Like, I'm passionate for it, and I want to create something that I can't find in other podcasts.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it does. It sounds fantastic. You can hear the amount of work and the amount of passion that goes into it, I think.
Well, thank you.
I'm grateful that all I have to do is show up and say words. And I'm done pretty much.
Dude, that's how I feel right now. This is great, guys. Someone else is editing this. I just get to drink beer and talk about video games and movies. This is amazing.
Exactly.
Stoked.
And the reason that we decided to talk about this movie is that when Dave and I are hanging out and not recording a podcast, we hang out and play a bunch of Fortnite.
A fair jag, yeah.
One of the, if not the biggest game in the world right now, and it is of the Battle Royale genre, and the name for that genre has come from, I mean, the movie was based on a book, but I think it's the movie that's the better known. The movie is what has sort of spread around the world and made that name and concept catch on. And then the other thing I wanted to mention before we got into talking about the movie is the fact that I think, if my math is correct, this is our 10th episode. So this is technically our big 10-episode anniversary.
Wow.
So
does that require math? Like, don't you just add?
Well, it's because at this point there's only 8 episodes out.
Oh,
but
right.
By the time this one goes out, we will have done our live episode wrap up.
Oh, that's right.
Malcolm X. And
okay.
So that'll be the 9th one, and then this one will be the 10th. But so we're in kind of a weird time travel situation where we're temporally in 2 different times at once. Like, we're in the right now when we're recording it, but then we also have to put ourselves in the position of where we'll be when it's released, which is October 31st. Which is worth mentioning too, that we're releasing this one on a Saturday instead of a Sunday because, this is a kind of a gory, horror-y movie. So we thought we'd release it on Halloween rather than the Sunday. So, yeah, that'll be a Halloween surprise. Everyone gets the podcast one day early.
Very cool.
Yay!
Speaking of gory, it wasn't that gory. I was expecting a lot more violent gore for a film that is banned.
I guess that's fair. You're right. Like, it's very, like, there's a lot of violence, but it's not as gory as I feel like it felt. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's very dark though.
But it's also, okay, I guess we're officially talking about the movie now. So, just to give it some context, Battle Royale was released in 2000. It's adapted from a novel that was released in 1999. I've got the names of the director and the guy who wrote the novel that I'll try to pronounce, but I'm probably going to massacre them. It was directed by Kinji Fukasaku, and the novel was written by Kushun Takami. It has been banned in several countries, and from my research, it appears to still currently be banned in South Korea. It was never banned in the United States, although it was long sort of rumored to be banned. It's just that the director never tried to distribute it there because he thought that it would generate controversy and probably, get banned and get censored and get chopped up. So he just didn't even bother trying to release it there. And it wasn't really until Quentin Tarantino named it one of his favorite films of all time that people started getting interested in seeing it in North America. And in 2010, Anchor Bay Entertainment brought it to release in the US and Canada. And so that sort of the backstory of, you know, how it came out, how it came to be, and where and when and how it was banned. But you're right, Dave, for a film that has been banned in certain countries, it's violent, but it's not particularly gory.
Yeah, I found, especially like bullet holes never appeared in people's clothing. It was just paint on clothing. But aside from that, because I do like your approach here, it's called Battle Royale, and I'd love to hear a little more about what that means, like, because it's both the name of the film, the plot of the film, and an entire genre of video games that I play on a daily basis.
See, now, like, when you guys said we were going to do this movie, I didn't know that it came before the whole Battle Royale craze. So I kind of expected maybe a video game based movie. I was totally...
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I was floored by the Hunger Game ish of it, you know?
That's a great comparison, the Hunger Games. The first Hunger Games book came out in 2008, and there's as great a parallel between the Hunger Games and this film as there is Fortnite and this film, for sure, if not more so. Like, for instance, the announcing of the people as they die. So, like, we should maybe discuss, like, it's basically like the Hunger Games. Suzanne Collins, like, she had to have read this. Like,
it's you know, I'm not going to make any accusations that, you know, as far as that goes. It seems like there's
really?
Well, who knows, right? Like, two different guys invented the telephone at pretty much the same time accidentally.
I don't think either of them were accidents.
Well, no, they didn't accidentally invent the... Whoa, Ellie, how did this telephone happen? But you know what I mean. I'm not going to position myself as blatantly accusing her, but I will certainly note that there are a lot of similarities that seem, you know, like they shouldn't be there. But okay,
I will. Shots fired
from Dave. Yes. And the only reason that I say that is because I think, I mean, well, it's not impossible that she might have seen it in 2008 or prior to 2008. It wasn't officially released in the US until 2010. So it would have been trickier for her to have seen it. Doesn't mean it's impossible. Just means that, you know, maybe part of it was that she heard the story and assuming that it would never release in the US decided to, you know, do an adaptation of it through her own lens or, you know, who knows? I don't know.
So in the Battle Royale movie that we're discussing here, in their dystopian kind of reality, a classroom is nominated and chosen. Yeah. A classroom of students.
Yeah. 9th grade too. That struck me as interesting.
This was a 9th grade class. I think it's always. Is it always?
I got that
grade?
sense.
No,
but it's also
because Kawada did it in the 7th grade. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I thought.
Yeah, and then he was in 9th grade when he did it the second time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But the whole premise was just like punk teenagers don't respect their parents.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was I had the quote from the beginning of the movie, and there's as the movie begins and the titles are showing up. There's these little this text that shows up that says, "At the dawn of the millennium, the nation collapsed. At 15% unemployment, 10 million were out of work. 800,000 students boycotted the schools. The adults lost confidence and, fearing the youth, eventually passed the Millennium Educational Reform Act, aka the BR Act, BR being Battle Royale." And I don't know, I couldn't wrap my head around, like, how does sending one classroom of students to an island to kill each other until there's one left, how does that help with any of these dystopian problems? Has that, you know, I mean, it's going to, I guess, slightly improve unemployment because there are fewer people looking for jobs now, but it's not going to help. I mean, 800,000 students aren't going to school. Those are the smart ones because they can't get picked up and sent to murder each other.
Yeah, so what's interesting is there's this character who is an ex-teacher who is stabbed as a teacher who seems to kind of run these Battle Royale. And I'm watching this film going, okay, so like whoever wrote this was a teacher. Really? Like he was like, oh, he goes home at night just like, oh, those kids, man, I'll write a story about these kids.
That seems like a very real possibility.
Maybe I
imagine that.
Sorry, go ahead.
The butt stabbing was maybe something that actually happened, and that's what inspired that scene, and then his great rage towards
Right?
ninth grade students.
I'm wondering if he even petitioned the government for like the BR Act. He's like, hey, you know what?
Right.
Some of these assholes
life.
just need to go kill each other. Let's make this law.
Yeah.
And that, speaking of that butt stabbing scene, that is simultaneously one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and also like a scene that I think has no purpose in the movie. It doesn't.
Well, it does though. It does.
Does it though?
It does, and I'm gonna jump way ahead and do a spoiler.
You're
But
talking about the end?
well, near the end, he chose the class.
Did he? Is that confirmed? I don't remember that.
It's not confirmed, but he had a painting of all the members of that class, all with their heads cut off, except for the one girl that he liked. Like, this guy
Right.
hated that class, and he said that it was a random choice. But I mean, come on.
But it took 2 years, I think, between that opening scene with the butt stabbing and when the class was chosen.
Hey
So,
man,
like,
this kind of shit takes time to plan.
I guess it's possible, but
That I actually wrote that down. I'm pretty sure he chose the class.
okay.
Interesting.
Anyway, maybe I'm wrong.
All because of the butt stab.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
well, so this brings up something interesting that I thought was a poor translation into the subtitles, but maybe he was being very literal. But at one point, he says to somebody, he goes, "You really hurt my ass," and I was thinking like you're a pain in the ass, and it's just poor translation. But maybe like
no, he was literally.
if we were paying closer attention,
At the beginning there.
he's like, "Are you the butt stabber?"
Well, he kills the butt stabber kid. Remember?
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah. Oh, and I had a note about him when he threw that knife at the girl, stabbed her right between the eyes. I was like, teacher kills female student for whispering. That's the kind of teacher the Trump administration wants in classrooms.
Jeez. But I did like the big bold red Battle Royale logo at the beginning of the film. It was very Tarantino, or probably more Tarantino stealing. That's where he gets his
and there's
ideas from.
definitely,
But, like,
I think I felt like there were certain film techniques and certain camera movements that reminded me of stuff that I had seen at least in Kill Bill. And I don't know, knowing of course that Tarantino homages / steals from everything, knowing that this is one of, if not his favorite film, I imagine that some of it came from that film and informed his filmmaking techniques.
Speaking of video, at the beginning, they're gassed on a bus, right? And then they wake up and that's it. They've all got Fitbits around their necks.
Right. Explosive Fitbits.
I'm pretty sure Fitbit stole that design. They have.
Right?
They had.
I'm pretty sure. It would almost predate.
Oh, it certainly would, yeah.
Wouldn't it? In 2000. Holy mackerel! I never thought of that. Fitbit stole this film. It's a very inspirational. film. But as they arrive in like a classroom and they're given an orientation video explaining that they're part of the Battle Royale and what's about to happen.
I love that video so much.
The video is very custom. It talks about each of them individually. I'm like, man, they record a new video for each class.
Well, I mean,
Battle
the
Royale.
Battle Royale itself takes place over the course of 3 days. That means they have 362 other days of a year to build and record videos for the next one. Right?
Oh yeah, but he can't pick a class. Come on, Todd.
But the style of that video was so wild. Like,
I was so happy. It was like, oh, you guys are gonna kill each other. Yee
wee.
Yeah, that was one of the more fucked up parts of the movie. I thought was just the nonchalantness about the whole thing, right? At least in the Hunger Games, like it's a serious thing, right? Well, I guess that's not true. I guess they kind of
I don't know. Some of those
sensationalized it.
hairstyles and beard styles in the Hunger Games are pretty hilarious.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, the style of the video was very, very over the top. Very like, it's this little Japanese girl explaining the rules and bouncing around and being incredibly excited and happy about everything. And again, that was probably one of my favorite bits of the film because it's so, it seems so tonally out of place from everything else. And I think the idea of trying to sell this idea of you guys have to go and kill each other over the next 3 days in such a bright and happy way is kind of like, that's how you'd probably want to do it.
I thought of it more as still as this like frustrated teacher writing the script, and so like, what's the first thing he does to the class? He puts on a video. Right? It's like, fuck these fucking kids. I'll throw on a video, and then the guy writing it's like, and these stupid kids, they don't pay attention to what anyone says. They're all about these tee-hee-hee Japanese icons, this stupid crap. I'll make the video like that. You know, it was like, got to hold their attention.
And so there were, 2 or 3 kids that were killed right there during the orientation. There was the one who got the knife in the head.
Right.
There was the one who got his throat blasted out, who I think was the knife stabber.
He was the knife stabber kid, yeah.
Yeah. And then everybody else, they basically get to take their bag that they had, because they were all boarding a bus with the intention that they were going on like a final school trip.
Okay, now, one of the premises of this show was that they had no idea this was something that happened. But right at the beginning, there was this big, like, it showed the victor of some other year, I guess, and she was like smiling and all that. And it was like somebody was there with a microphone. I imagine there was cameras.
Yeah,
the media was covering this. How did these kids not know that that's a thing? I just wanted to interject with that because that was a plot gap that's
a good question.
Never left my head.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say it's maybe the sort of thing that like the adults are aware of and the adults follow it on TV, but it's kept out of like the kids don't know about it. You don't tell the kids, you don't let them watch the shows. Maybe that's my only kind of guess to how to explain that away.
Daddy, what's a battle royale? You'll know when you're older.
Exactly.
Well, my thought was if parents knew, there's no way parents would allow their children to be a part of this. So there's something else going on, like a greater, or maybe you just have to suspend some disbelief just to kind of like for the concept, you know?
I started reading the manga after I watched the film. And cool. So there's already sort of substantial differences between the film and that. Like there's more world building. It definitely got the sense that at least in the manga, the kids knew about what it was, because when they showed up at the after they were knocked out and kidnapped, there's one kid who's freaking out because his dad is a major player in the major political party, and he's like, well, there's no way that my dad would have let this happen to me. It wouldn't have happened to my classroom. And the head guy at the Battle Royale is saying like, well, we're trying something different now. We're trying true equality. So everyone, regardless of who your dad is, has a chance of being in this. So that is something that's different in the film, that it does seem like the kids don't really know what's going on and aren't aware of it. But at the same time, as you said, there's clearly a bunch of media attention around it too. That gives it the impression that it's being broadcast for people to watch. So there's a disconnect there that I'm not sure about.
See, now I found the fact that they didn't know made it a little more terrifying for me. Right? Like these kids just wake up and then they're being told that they're going to kill each other, and they're being killed by their old grade 7 teacher. Like, yeah. I felt that built quite a bit of suspense, actually. I did enjoy that aspect of it in the movie, even though it did fuck with me plot-wise.
Yeah. So yeah, they after the orientation video, everyone has the opportunity. Was that we have a beer opening?
I was slurping. Sorry,
slurping hard. I think that's probably part of your podcast pedigree. It is like a little bit of orange slurping in every recording.
A little bit. It's always
in my contract. It's in my contract.
Yeah, exactly. It's all because I decided to open that episode 0 with him taking a loud slurp.
Totally. You said it, man. You set your intention to the universe and it provides,
Exactly. So after the orientation video, they're given the opportunity. They have their bag that they pack for their trip, whatever's in there. And then they're given a bag of like food, water, and some kind of weapon.
The weapon is randomized.
The weapon is randomized, and it could be anything from a gun to somebody had a fan, I think, as a weapon.
So would you like the litany list? I wrote it down as I watched.
Oh shit! Okay.
Of every weapon you saw, or
every weapon seen by a person in this movie. So you had a green army duffel bag on a cart, and you grab it and run out of the room, and immediately the moment you're outside this facility, like just out the main doors, you're fair game to be shot.
Yeah. And mentioning that, the first kid out is also the first one like nailing people right away because he had a crossbow.
He rolls out with a crossbow and starts hitting kids. So
I mean, he doesn't last very long.
No. So the
He
items
lasted
that
longer
these
than the
kids
kids he killed.
Well, that's true.
Were there any though? Yeah, he shot
the one girl, I think, through the neck.
Oh, and then the guy that found the girl killed him, right? Yeah,
he
that's
rolled down
right.
the hill and dropped his thing, and then the guy picked it up and killed him.
Well, he freaked out because he couldn't believe that he killed somebody, right?
Well, yeah, but then there was also rolling down the hill, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of rolling in this movie.
There was a lot of rolling in this movie. There was also a lot of talk about like who had a crush on who, and but that's something we'll get into later.
Okay.
I have a lot.
I liked that. Those are the aspects I liked. But anyway, so as far as weapons available to be found, the gamut of things were a pot lid, a large lid to a pot,
right?
Binoculars, a crossbow, a paper fan, a submachine gun, a handgun, a grenade, nunchucks, a taser, a hatchet, a combat shotgun, a bullhorn, a sickle, a GPS tracker knowing everyone's location, a bulletproof vest, a katana sword, and a bottle of poison.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I have always wondered where that bottle of poison came from, but it makes sense that that's the weapon.
Yeah.
That was her weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So weird because it's actually said poison in English too. Speaking of which, there are two English phrases in this Japanese film that are like actually spoken in English in the film. Battle Royale is one.
Yeah.
So there's no Japanese version of Battle Royale. And then the other is Game Over.
Game over.
That's what it was. Yeah, right.
And it made me wonder, like, especially because this film kind of popularized the term Battle Royale, where did it come from historically that the Japanese were aware of it when making this book and this film, that it needed to be said in English rather than whatever the Japanese words for battle and royale are, right? Like,
tell me you figured that out.
I didn't. I mean, okay, I'll tell you I figured it out. Yes, I figured it out, but I'm not going to share it.
What?
Well, I didn't actually figure it out, but Dave really wanted me to tell him.
The first use of the term in recorded print is from a comic play called All Mistaken or The Mad Couple from 1672. And the Battle Royale may refer to a conflict in which many are involved or be simply a general reference to an intense conflict. In the latter case, royal is merely added as an intensifier, particularly to refer to cockfighting, where large numbers of birds were sometimes engaged in Battle Royale fights to the death. Wonderful stuff. The first use of it, though, does not relate to cockfighting explicitly, so whether the expression originated from that or became a more general term for raucous fights isn't clear, but it shows up in this play as "Hist! Now for a battle royale!" The first citation that refers directly to cockfighting... Oh, we don't need to know any more of that.
Well, now I want to see a battle royale style game that features just chickens fighting against chickens.
Dude, right? It's like Goat Simulator, but it's chickens.
But it's chickens and it's 100 chickens at once.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm in for that.
Limited flight, double jump. I can see it
now. Where were we? We're talking about the weapon.
Well, so that's why I'm a part of this discussion, is because I play Battle Royale games. So that was one of the ways that it deviates, or Battle Royale games deviate from this, is that you are all sent out into the jungle with nothing and then find your items out into the world somewhere in a Battle Royale video game. Whereas in this, you're given your items at the outset, which is a little closer to the Hunger Games. Because in the Hunger Games, they were given...
I think the Hunger Games, when you start, there's weapons like at that one central location.
Yeah.
And everyone runs for it, and sort of like a first come, first grab kind of a situation.
So that's there. But there's more of a similarity there to Hunger Games than there is to the Battle Royale video game genre, in that there is this like initial quick loot drop that everyone has access to.
Yeah. But I mean, like, how many people would complain in a video game if some people started with a submachine gun and some people started with a pot lid? You know,
Dude, right?
That's not going to go over well with players.
That best be adamantium pot lid, and I can throw
Right?
it.
Yeah.
Is there a pot lid available in Fortnite? Is that a thing?
No, but you can. There is a frying pan that you can get in PUBG
Okay.
As a melee weapon?
as a melee weapon. And in fact, if you have the, I remember if you had the frying pan as a melee weapon, when you put it away, it's like attached to your belt on your backside, and it will actually deflect bullets if you get shot on the frying pan.
Nice! Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there was people die pretty quickly, I think, in the initial part of this movie. You have there's a couple that jumps off a cliff because they can't bring themselves to fight. It's a lot of sort of clearing out kids pretty quickly and zeroing in on the dozen or so ish who are the most main characters. There are two, what do they call them? Transfer students or something?
Yeah.
That aren't officially from the class. One is sort of this dark, gothy murderer type, and another one is someone who had apparently survived a previous battle royale. And then there's the main character who sort of hooks up with a girl, and they're keeping each other safe, and then they meet up with the guy who survived the previous battle royale, and they're sort of like a team for a while. And then there's another team of three, they're kind of nerds, I guess. They're the sciencey nerds, and they end up trying to like rig up some explosives to take out the battle royale masters.
No, I thought for sure they were gonna do it. I was like, okay, that's how this movie ends. They blow those bastards up. They get the fuck off.
Right, like that.
But then
What a
evil
great-
goth kid has to fucking kill him. I actually wrote down, and I'm really proud of this. The way I described them. Bro in the suit be evil as fuck.
Yeah, he was.
He was so evil.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, they gave him so many bullets in his bag. Like, he was spraying his little gun everywhere and, like, hitting nobody. And so, like, when I saw some of the kids with guns, I thought, what would have been really cool is, like, give them, like, one or two bullets. So they think, oh, wow, I got a gun. I can, like, just own this thing. And then they fire once and they're done.
No, they were all shitty shots anyway. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's true.
But like, for instance, this goth kid who like is a pray and spray bullet like hound, they literally blind him at one point just so he can really just fire aimlessly. Like they're like, this character, that's his role. And so we'll even blind him at one point to really push that home that he just sprays bullets in all directions.
And it's like, why did Kawada have to cock his gun? I guess he didn't know he was blind.
Oh, man, he did that so many times throughout the movie.
Yeah, it's like, oh, right, it's cocked. It's cocked.
Like,
I'm pretty sure it's loaded.
6 times.
It's fucking ready.
He did it 3 times during one conversation. It's like, I gotta go. Chick, chick. They're like, but wait, what about, but I'm leaving now. And chick, chick. Like, it's constantly. And like every time he, like, I don't know a lot about guns, but I'm pretty sure every time he does that, he's firing a shotgun shell out that he hasn't fired yet.
No, he'd be lodging a second one into the chamber, and then it would just jam the gun out. Like, you wouldn't physically be able to a second time if I was just to get really basic about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Take away the fun. Yeah, it was jammed up as fuck, Todd. Ridiculous.
That's why he never shot anybody.
Yeah.
No, he did actually end up killing the evil goth guy. He did kill him. Finally. After letting him spray him 3 or 4 times.
Well, because he had to cock it one more time, which is what the evil goth kid heard it, turned around, and started spraying everywhere.
Maybe it was really just a super soaker, and it took a lot of pumps. You had to really build that pressure up.
Well, I mean, there was at least one super soaker in this movie.
What was that about?
Dude, I wrote down fucking plot twist, holy shit, but that was near the end.
Yes, it was.
I guess we'll wait. We're a little bit all over the place, but this movie is kind of all over the place too.
Can we talk about the knife to the balls? That
Dude.
that fucked with me in a real way.
To do that, let's talk about how much time this movie spent on high school romantic pairings and stuff, like who's got a crush on who,
right?
Who's in love with who, and that leads to that scene there where this one kid shows up to this girl, I guess he really likes, and is like, trying to put the moves on her. He suggests that, like, since they're all going to die, they shouldn't die virgins. And then I think he threatens to just sort of rape her.
Yeah, well, he's the guy that stole the crossbow. Yeah, he's like, either you do this or I'm gonna shoot you. Make up your mind, right?
Yeah. And then he shoots and misses.
Or grazes her cheek.
Now,
yeah.
Right, it grazes her cheek.
Yeah.
And that, he dared damage her beautiful face. And so she pulls out her weapon, which is a knife, and well, you wanted to talk about this, Oren.
So she stabbed him in the junk.
I wrote down
Multiple
quite
times.
eloquently. I wrote down quite eloquently. Chick stabs a dude twice in the dick taint.
And you know what? He kind of deserved it. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna do this, whether you like it or not." And she's like, "Yeah." You know what? I was all for that. That was like the little bit of violence in the movie that I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah. You support the dick taint stabbing of anyone who wants to be a rapist.
Yeah, if you get rapey.
Well, she was gonna let him go. She's like, "Look, like I don't want to kill you. Like just carry on." He just wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then she ends up dying in the arms of the guy that she loves. And then she finds out at the end that he doesn't love her and that he loves some other girl that eventually kills him. And I wrote down like Romeo and Juliet with a twist. Juliet kills Romeo. Oh, can we talk about that scene? Because a lot fucking happened in that scene. I just
Which scene is that?
That was the scene when, okay, so the girl that did the stabbing in the taint.
Yeah.
The guy that she loved that didn't love her.
Yeah.
He was the one that had the GPS tracker. And he was trying to find the girl that he loved. And he found her, but she shot him and killed him. And then Juliet dies because Crazy Girl, we haven't even talked about Crazy Girl yet.
Right.
How fucked up was she? Like, was she nuts before this? Or did she just like,
I loved it.
Yeah. I remember like when like
I dug Crazy Girl too.
Like when she held the flashlight up to her face and did the whole like shaded face, creepy smile thing to that first girl she killed. That was creepy as fuck.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That's creepy.
I just like the idea that you're in the middle of this battle royale and you're crimping your eyelashes first thing in the morning. Still.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, exactly.
She's getting her hair did and shit.
Well, that's like the dictate girl too, though, that she was out for her morning jog that morning.
She was, but I think that morning jog was more about trying to create routine, like trying to not for a few minutes do something that feels normal.
Yeah.
Well, and why can't you do that by crimping your lashes?
Exactly. Same thing. It's about just trying to like center yourself in something that you can control because you have to go out there and do things you'd rather not to.
I don't know. Crazy Girl liked it, I think.
But then again, there was another interaction there with Crazy Girl and I can't remember, I don't know how to define this other girl, but it was like the other girl was accusing Crazy Girl of stealing her boyfriend. And so they had to have a fight about that.
Right.
Like, and then the 4 or 5 girls who were like trying to take care of the main character guy. The one girl wants to poison him, which I don't remember exactly why she wanted to poison him.
Because near the beginning, this one kid tries to kill him, the kid with the hatchet, and they tumble down this hill. Remember all the tumbling in this movie? And during the tumble, the hatchet guy gets the hatchet in the head, and she witnessed the whole thing. We didn't know that at the time. Yeah. We found out later she witnessed the whole thing.
Right.
And I'm assuming she liked that guy because she was real pissed about that.
Exactly, yeah.
So then, she decides to kill main character with her poison.
But then somebody else eats the poison. Everyone freaks out about like who did the poisoning. Oh, and then people are like, they're blaming the one girl who liked the boy because like you're trying to kill all of us so that you can run off with him. And like so many of the people dying in this movie, it like beyond the fact that they were told to kill each other. I would say at least 60% of the deaths occurred because of some kind of romantic issue.
Just like real life.
Just like real life.
Do you guys play Among Us?
I haven't
well,
yet.
I do, yeah.
Okay, so I made a note here, like pointing fingers like a game of Among Us. Everyone was like, it's you. No, you're sus. No, you're sus. And then, of course, the imposter wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
In that scene, too. Yeah, exactly. The one who was trying to poison was the one who survived, and then she's overwhelmed by guilt, so she jumps off the top of the lighthouse or whatever they're in.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about all the romantic relationships, I'm going to share what I think would be sort of the ideal way to remake this movie or have another sort of alternate take on it.
Okay.
And it would be to do it as a TV series. And you would do it like for 10 episodes. It's just a normal high school set drama. Like say you're watching Riverdale.
Really establish those relationships.
And then you have a 2-hour finale where this classroom gets kidnapped and sent to an island where they have to kill each other.
Shut up and take my money.
And you wouldn't. The best thing about it is it would be marketed so you would just think this was a normal teen drama until you got to that finale.
It's like, Mom, can I watch Battle Royale? Well, yeah, sure. It seems like a good show, but why is it rated M?
But like, how more interesting would those dramatic interrelationships be if you had that backstory there?
Dude, episodic release, Netflix, like, let's do this. It'll twist everybody up. The moment that first Battle Royale episode drops, the internet would go crazy.
Wait, what?
Everyone's got NDAs. No one knows it's coming.
Exactly. I think that'd be so good.
I had a little point here. I did like when it would just give you a little bit of deposition in the form of words on the screen. I kind of like that, like the old no dialogue movies, the black and white movies. It would just cut to this screen of writing, and it would be this like kind of like inner thoughts of who knows who. I actually enjoyed that. I felt like it kind of peppered in a little bit of emotion. I liked it.
And I did like too the way that every time, someone or a group died, it would continue the countdown at the top saying which characters had died and how many were left now. I think that added to the feeling that it was a game that was being played, and you could sort of see the score being updated as it progressed. When
the first couple of students are killed in the classroom before the game's even really begun, and then it tallies their names and the fact that they're deceased, whether or not they're a boy or a girl, that it set a tone really well.
Yeah,
it
totally
really did. It was like, okay, this is the game, and at some point we're going to be like, there's only one person left, and I definitely dug that a lot. And then they also had 3 times a day the guy would do updates over like a radio network and just say who'd passed away, just like Hunger Games.
Yeah. And then he would say the danger zones, just like Hunger Games, and that whichever one that was, the second one, I think.
Yeah, so that's a way that it does delineate from the Battle Royale genre. And the Battle Royale genre, it's always an outside circle that's getting smaller, and as the circle gets smaller, you are hurt by being outside of this circle, so it draws the last players together. In Fortnite, it starts with 100 players, and then you last man standing, of course. And so that circle gets smaller as the amount of players lessens at a fairly similar ratio to kind of keep everyone grouped together and having to fight.
See, now I'm wondering if that was maybe they thought about doing it the same kind of way where you just had free range of this area forever until there was one person left, but they just, through the testing, found that it was way too difficult to run into each other at the end.
For sure.
As you get fewer people, you have to keep reducing the size of the area you're in, otherwise it does go on forever. Should we talk about the ending? I think we've kind of gotten close to the ending already.
I think so, yeah.
I got a couple more things. So one thing, this guy who announces these, so this gentleman, this teacher, has announcements 3 times a day letting everybody know what people have deceased. I know this is just something stupid and random, but as a singer, like, he has this microphone with the most butt plug shaped like condenser on the end, like with the little mic cover, and it was so distracting. Like, if you're an evil villain and you're talking on a microphone, it shouldn't easily insert into a butthole. Like, I just feel like you lose any sense of intimidation the moment I'm like, bro, like, your microphone is whack, yo.
But do you not think that the possibility of him sticking it up your butt might add a layer of intimidation?
Well, you know what? Maybe that's the whole point. He did say at one point in the film, "You really hurt my ass." So maybe,
Right? Maybe I hurt your ass.
it's all part of the meta, you know. But yeah, I did find that microphone a little funny looking. And then I think my favorite bit of violence in the film is at one point a kid gets decapitated, and then the wonderful part is that people are hiding inside a building, and there's a crash as something's thrown through the window of the building, and they look, and it's the severed head, and then inside the severed head's mouth is a grenade. That was a highlight bit of horror action.
Yeah, that was good. There was a lot of build up to that one too, because like that was Evil Goth Kid, and he got the fucking paper fan. He had nothing at the beginning. And he remember?
Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah, he got the paper fan, and he let this group of kids that they were like, we're not gonna kill anybody, and you're in on it, aren't you? And we're gonna figure out what you're up to, and we're gonna stop this. And
he just fucked them up.
Yeah, one kid pulls a gun on him. He takes the gun and just kills everybody. Now he's got the submachine gun. He's got a handgun. He had the grenades.
Well, that's the grenades
thing I was
were all
going to say
actually about that he was like the most video game character in the film, because he just keeps gaining new weapons from everyone he kills, right?
Right. He got the fucking bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
He had the katana. That's how he decapitated the kid.
Right.
Yeah, and he got the grenades like right off the bat. But he started with like fuck all. He started with
he had nothing. Yeah.
So here's my Battle Royale game pitch. As you pick up weapons and better weapons, they're physically on you, and you like clank and clink around the level more. You're like, you slowly,
there you go.
You start out this really quiet dude and just like your army fatigues and a knife. And then like next thing you're like 3 guns holstered, and they're all clanking around on your body. You're like, oh, kill that guy. That rocket launcher. Yeah, you're slow. It slows your speed, of course.
That'd be awesome.
I think I just described a bunch of stuff that makes games less fun.
Yeah, dude, I love games like that. I love games like that.
I love games that aren't fun at all. Let's make more of those.
Totally. Those ones are the big sellers.
So, yeah, by the time you get to the end, you've got the 3 kids. They're ready to blow things up, except Evil Goth Kid shows up and shoots a bunch of them. One kid manages to trigger all of the explosives that they had loaded into the back of the truck, and I think that's what blinded Evil Goth Kid.
Yeah.
You have the sort of hero boy, the girl he likes, and
Kawada, the exchange student.
Kawada, yeah. Actually, I've got their names in front of me here. It's Shugo, Noriko, and... No, it's Kawada, Noriko, and Shuya.
This is the kind of audio that the internet needs right now.
Right, yeah. Listening to me fumble through Japanese names, totally.
Yeah, this is the audio the internet wants.
Well, okay. What should I be doing? Do you want names?
I really like Goth Kid or whatever. I'm rooting for that guy.
Evil Goth guy. Evil Goth.
So we end up down to the last 3. And we're meant to believe that Kawada, who's the kid who had been in it before, has taken advantage of the other 2 in order to win.
Now we're talking about plot holes and issues. This is my first good one. So they discover at one point that their Fitbit necklaces are recording audio. And so the nerd kids that build bombs and are trying to overthrow the system are cupping their Fitbits in their hand when they speak so that they can't be heard. And then these 3 people make it seem like 2 killed or 1 killed the other 2. And the whole organization's like, yep, game over. We're all done. But like they were monitoring their heart rates and like their pulses and what they spoke. So then they're like, yeah, we're all done. But there's still 3 heartbeats. And then they like can just listen to people walking through the jungle for like 3 hours being like, yeah, all right, well, I guess we're going to go overthrow them now. Like, actually, I don't fully understand how that pieces together.
Okay, so that wasn't a plot hole, but there was another plot hole. So when Kawada, because he's the one that, like Todd said, we're made to believe that he backstabbed the other two, and he's the lone survivor, the winner of the Battle Royale. When he arrives and talks to the teacher discovers that he's deactivated his necklace.
Ooh.
Remember? Mm-hmm. But he's like, but here's the other plot hole. That fix of that plot hole opens up, and he goes, it wasn't Murimi or whatever, the nerd kid that did the hacking, right? It wasn't him that hacked him, it was you. And it's like, well,
what did he hack in with?
Yeah, he didn't have anything to hack.
When did we ever see him with hacking equipment?
We didn't, right? So that that explains why they thought they were dead. He deactivated all the things and all that, but then it opened up another one where it's like all of a sudden this kid just had knowledge of these necklaces that.
But I'll throw out there too that the Battle Royale teacher guy, either he knew something was up, or because the guards were going to go out and check to confirm those last two kills, and he was like, no, don't bother.
Right. And so he was in cahoots.
And I think he knew what was up. I don't know if he was in cahoots. There was weird shit with him towards the end, like the bit where he goes out and meets the main character's chick and gives her an umbrella for no reason. I mean, I guess it's rated, so that's a reason.
He was his favorite in the class. He hated everybody else in the class, and he liked that student. Hopefully, creepy way.
Can we briefly
Did you say not in a creepy way?
So hopefully not in a creepy way.
It seemed very like father-daughter-ish.
Yeah.
It didn't seem sexual at all. But like, can we just briefly talk about this bad teacher, the kind of the villain of the film's swag? Yeah. Like, can we just talk about his swagger? Like, the dude had the most fucking dope tracksuit. He just rolls like just gray sweatpants and just owns it. Like, this dude is just like such swag, man. Props to that guy and his ability to pull off that outfit.
And he had that great, like, just plodding walk too.
Dude, he'd had a stroke or something, like the actor. Like, the right-hand side of his face didn't really move the same as the left-hand side of his face.
That's interesting. You're right.
Had a bit of a twitch, too.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, ex-mob boss, went into movies at a late age in life, total badass. I
do feel like that's an actor that I've seen in other things. He's got a face that I recognize, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was.
We arrive at this end, and we're just getting to the part where suddenly the big bad guy's gun is also just a water pistol. And can someone help me with this?
Hold on, I want to cut in just before that. When Kawada gets there and he sits down and the guy brings him a pop, all I could think of was, you want a Fresca?
Yeah, right. I think about Fresca now because of that show, The Boys on Amazon.
Yeah, okay, shout out to The Boys. Not a sponsor.
I had to point that out. Want a Fresca? Here you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he comes in as the winner. The teacher checks his collar, which doesn't work. Apparently, he somehow figured out how to hack it without having any computer tools.
And the other two, because all three of them can just pick them off. In. And they have guns on the teacher. And then the teacher that's where he admits to sort of liking the girl and reveals the painting that presumably he painted in advance. But at least Oren, you sort of assumed it was painted in advance. I just had a feeling that he was painting it as it went along. And Me
he was
too.
Painting as each one died. Because, again, he had like 3 days to work on that painting.
No, I think he painted that in advance.
Well, we've got our first major disagreement on this episode then.
Boom. I'm on Todd's side. At one point, one of the soldiers like kind of comes up and goes like, how's it going? And he like grabs a couple of pieces of paper that we can only see the back of. And they're large pieces of like drawing paper. And he's like, give me that back. And I was like, it was like his doodles as he's like trying to catch everybody's essence as he draws them into his death.
Right. I'd forgotten about that, but that's a good observation.
I think he was drawing it as it happened, but then the art's really poor, and it didn't necessarily depict. Did it depict exactly how everyone died? It seemed kind of random to me.
There were like tons of people who had their heads chopped off by swords, and that did not match what happened in the movie.
Like the vast majority of them.
Right.
Like they hired an artist they hired an artist to help on the film, and they're like, yeah,
And then
people
didn't tell
die.
him.
And like, there's about 26 of them, and like he just drew that, and like it's not. There were
I really like
42.
swords, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and also the artist
I
was.
didn't read the
14.
script and just went mostly with swords. Hope you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, I like the commissioned artist like walking into the meeting and saying exactly that. Like, so I didn't read the script. I'm in a sword phase right now. Hope this works.
Yeah. And then they've got their guns on him. He's basically saying, and actually, you know what? I want to point out too that throughout this film, there's been, well, I guess he had only had the one conversation with his daughter saying that he wasn't going to be home. This is the teacher we're talking about. He was out on, something was up with his wife, I think. He was out on a business trip and wouldn't be able to be home until the next day. And that, the fact that he's got this kind of, and the daughter is very negative, you could sense when she's hanging up the phone on him or ending the call.
How about the insult that she threw his way? The shade she threw at him mid-call. She said, "Hey, quit breathing into the phone. I can smell your breath from
Smell
here."
your breath. Yeah, right.
I was like, dang, I gotta like lock that one in for later. keep that one.
And maybe that's, because that is something that came up in the opening titles that, these kids these days
Right.
are not respecting their elders. And maybe that's what he liked about that one girl in the class, is that she seemed respectful.
Maybe that was the daughter he never had. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I dig that. I dig that take, Todd.
And so they're standing off there with the teacher. He's got I don't know if he has his gun out at this point. Yeah, he's pulled it out to say, like, if you don't shoot me,
I'm going to shoot you.
I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
And then he pulls the trigger, and it's a fucking water gun.
He pulls the trigger as he's getting shot.
Well, either way, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they shoot him finally. I thought like he pulled the trigger in order to inspire them to shoot, because I don't think they shot first.
Yeah, they shot first.
Did they? Okay. And then he's got a water gun, spraying water everywhere.
But like not even a normal water gun. It was like he turned on a hose coming out of the end of his gun. It was like, and you get what, like 2.5 seconds of that shot or less. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, where did this come from? And then not long after that moment, he sits on the couch, pulls out.
Well, let's talk about that though, because he drops dead. Right? He's full of bullets.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And then his phone rings.
And he gets up.
And he gets up. And I was like, what the fuck is happening now? Did they have fake guns all this time? That doesn't make sense. He gets up. He walks to the couch, sits down, answers the phone. It's his daughter again. And he basically says, like, I'm not coming home. You suck. I hate you. And then he hangs up and dies.
Well, he hangs up, then he pulls out a real gun, shoots the phone. And
So, like, in my opinion,
that bit. Oh, that's right. That is right. Yeah.
he
So
pulls
did
out
have a
the
real
same
gun.
gun, man.
Was
In
it
my
the
opinion, he
same
just
gun?
grabs the same gun. Now it makes bullets again. There was some real continuity issues in that scene for me. I'm just saying. Like, I need to talk to the
Holy.
director and understand his perspective.
Though I will say that moment when he got up, that blew my mind. That is maybe my favorite moment in the film.
It was just another moment that really reinforced the fact that there were never any bullet holes in people's clothing. There was very little, like, they didn't have a makeup guy. They were just like, nah, we'll just put red on people's clothing. The makeup guy phoned in sick. We can't do wounds.
Yeah. Just tomato juice.
Our artist painted swords everywhere. Everything's falling apart.
No, I will say, like, as I'm kind of besmirching the film, I really enjoyed it. You know,
Yeah,
like,
me
I'm not
too.
much for like having to read while I watch films, man. Gosh
Right.
darn it. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I watched it. And it really, it showed such influence into this genre of video games that I spend a good chunk of my life playing, and I thought that was really cool. I really was appreciative of being invited into this process, just for the film I got to watch. I quite enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and I do recommend Battle Royale.
Yeah, I do too. One of the things I wanted to, speaking of recommending it, and thinking about who maybe should be watching it, when it was released in Japan, it was given a rating where anyone 15 or younger couldn't see the film. And that kind of angered the director because many of the cast members in the film were actually 15 years old. Right. So this whole idea that these people who had worked on this film wouldn't even be able to go and see it.
Right.
And I guess he did interviews where he was suggesting that, kids should just sneak into it.
I read that. That's cool, eh?
Yeah. So yeah, after they've killed the teacher, they find a boat. The three of them are on this boat, headed back to shore. There's one thing we haven't talked about yet, which is Kawada's backstory. From when he was in the Battle Royale before, he met up with a girl, and he was trying to protect her, because this is obviously something that happens in every Battle Royale multiple times. I didn't get a sense of what happened, who shot who or what shot when, because they ended up being the last two in their previous Battle Royale. And they think they were planning on just dying together. But then what happened there? Like, did she shoot herself?
I guess when I watched it, I just assumed there was a third person, but
maybe there was.
No, it was just the two of them, and there was a lot of time spent discussing the fact that she passed away with a smile on her face.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was getting to, is the bit about the smile and how she smiled, she said thank you, and then she died, and he didn't know what that meant.
Her smile, especially. The fact that you would pass away
with a smile. Her
smile,
especially, yes. And that's sort of what haunted him, and why he came back to do it again was he was going to try to find out what that smile meant. And so as they're on the boat and Kawada is now dying, he has this exchange with the last two people, basically saying, I finally solved the riddle of her smile and her parting words. Thank you. And then they're asking like, and then what? And then he dies, but sort of, I guess, we're hearing his internal monologue. What he says is, and then I'm glad I found true friends. And holy shit, I laughed so hard when I saw that, because
why?
It's like maybe the real Battle Royale was the friends we made along the way.
Okay, well, putting it that way is pretty funny.
Honestly all I could think of when I heard that. Like, really, the takeaway from this is like, you made a friend while murdering 40 other people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it seems silly.
I did make a note that I thought Kawada's death was pointless at the end there. I didn't see any reason
to pass for the insight. He needed to pass for the insight that when he passes with a smile on his face, he goes through the emotions that his girlfriend went through in the moments before her death. And so then he finally gains the insight into what went down in that moment and why she died with a smile on her face.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I can dig it.
And then the other two end up in Japan. They're on the run from the law because they're accused of murdering him and maybe somebody else. I think they're only accused of killing two people, even though there's an island.
Yeah. How does that work?
For some reason, she goes back to her home to get the knife that stabbed the teacher at the beginning.
Right. It all comes back to the butt stab.
And I don't know why they bothered with that. Like, what is the... Yeah,
because you really hurt my ass.
It does all come back to that butt stab, man. That was we didn't know it at the time, but that was the climax of the movie. It was just a real slow burn after that.
Yeah.
That was
that was Battle Royale.
As they leave that island and they stare back at it, I'm reminded that they describe the island as 10 kilometers. So I'm thinking 10 square kilometers, so like 3 by 3, which is larger than a Battle Royale. That is larger than the average Battle Royale map.
Okay. How big is the map in Fortnite?
The square meters is closer to 2 kilometers, according to this. Yeah, I went online looking for it. So some nerd has figured it out based on how many grids. I do like that it's a grid, and like there's a 10 by 10 grid in Fortnite as well. And then some nerd figured it out to 1.8 kilometers. Yeah.
So I guess between the size of the island and the increased number of players, that explains why an average Fortnite round is about 15 to 20 minutes.
Truth.
3 days.
Plus, I mean, there's slightly less teenage angst in Fortnite.
Really? Is there though?
That's true. Well, probably not. When you look at the actual
More mushroom
players,
stamps.
there's probably lots of teenage angst.
There's a lot
going
more
on in
people
the
who have a
minds of
crush on
people
your
playing.
mom. in
Keep my mom
Fortnite.
out of this.
No, you know,
Yeah, please.
that's the whole thing. Like Fortnite, kids on Fortnite, like
What?
I fucked
Is
your
that
mom.
it?
That's the thing,
The
right?
ironic thing is that their moms are divorced and in my age range, and I do fuck them.
Well, the nice thing about Fortnite is you don't actually talk to the rest of the players.
Oh,
You talk to
thank
people in your own
goodness.
party, so you don't have to listen to that bullshit of like when you're playing Halo and you got to listen to the 12-year-old douchebag who just murdered you 10 times.
We have I have a friend, I have a good buddy with a 10-year-old son, and his 10-year-old son plays with us though, and so we do sometimes play with a 10-year-old and deal with the perspective.
Although he's pretty well mannered.
Great dude. He still does 10-year-old things like, haha, got to the gun first. And it's like, you little fucking 10-year-old shit.
Yeah, there'll be instances where Dave and I are heavy in combat and getting shot up, and he's like, "I'll be there in a sec. I'm still looking for a blue gun."
He's shopping. He's shopping. We're dying.
Take your time, dude.
Yeah, but no, he's a wicked dude for sure. But that's our one little bit of adolescent interaction in Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. Any final thoughts?
The movie?
on Battle Royale?
Thumbs up. Give it
the
a
movie.
thumbs up. I can definitely see why Tarantino likes it for sure.
Oh yeah, it's got his
OG
style
Hunger
and taste
Games,
written all
man,
over it.
for sure.
Yeah. Oren, final thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was dark. It was depressing at times. But I like
Particularly when people are getting crotch taint stabbed.
actually that like I said, I like that part. No, I like
I thought that part fucked you up.
well, it fucked me up in a good way.
Okay,
But
all right.
but I mean, like I guess I kind of did fall for the relationship part of it a little bit. I kind of started feeling for people, and especially like the Romeo and Juliet thing when, yeah, I don't know. It was
Everyone's lover was dying.
everybody
and
was
leaving them
getting
alive
killed
and-
by their lovers, and it was just a fuck show. But yeah, no, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too. Thumbs up. I would give it 4 murderous 9-year-old. No, not 9-year-olds. 4 murderous 9th grade students out of 5, probably. Second time I've watched it. I watched it many years ago now, and I think I was half cut at the time that I watched it. So
So no different this time.
better this time. No, I watched it sober. I find I can't watch movies when I'm drunk because it's like I forget.
Thank you so
of
much,
them.
guys, for inviting me into your worlds. I listen to your podcast and I love it. And and I have a kitten next to me meowing. And I'm so appreciative to be invited into this whole thing. It's really cool. I'm glad your podcast exists. And I would just urge everyone who hasn't done so to check out Mysteries and Madness, a very cool podcast between Todd Sullivan and I. Give it a try. Give it 3 episodes, and then never listen again if that's how you feel about it. But give it 3. Just
Where can
give
they
me
find
3
that
episodes.
podcast?
It is on every podcast service available, so it doesn't matter what you use. And if you don't have a podcast app, I like Castbox, but it's Android only. But it's everywhere. If you have a place where you get podcasts, you can find Mysteries and Madness there, and listen to Todd and I play some roles and have some fun.
Yep, it's a good time. Thanks for joining us, Dave. One of the things I've wanted to do since I started this podcast was have guests every once in a while, shake things up by bringing in a new voice and a new perspective. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. It can get a bit more chaotic, I think, with a third person involved, but I feel like this worked out really, really well, and I've enjoyed the conversation with you and with Oren as well. Oren's always fun to have around, right?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I like
I shouldn't
Oren
say
a lot.
always.
We know each other from the music world. I think you have
Yeah.
lyrics, some lyrics that maybe I wrote that are in a song of yours, and that's just such a privilege, like that's just such an honor. And I really like Oren a lot. He's a great dude. So it's just so cool to get to be a part of something that I listen to.
Right on, man. I appreciate
All
it.
right. Thanks again, Dave. I'm Todd Sullivan.
I'm Warren Barter.
And I'm your one-time guest.
Oh, come on. You're coming back, right?
I'm your hopefully repetitious guest, Dave Coalmine.
Thanks for listening to When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Go read a fucking book.
Or watch a fucking movie.
Go play a fucking video game.